good to go? Property taxes, here we go. This is, I like to highlight this to make sure, right? You know we've covered it. I know I've covered it. And this is an ongoing. Property taxes, you have to pay. Think about it this way. You do your income tax every year. So guess what? Property taxes every year. You're going to get a bill. Property tax is composed of two subdivisions. Okay? Two subdivisions. There's an education tax and a municipal tax. Okay? Education, where do you think it goes? Education. That's slowly being, like they reduced it a little bit. So the government has kind of said, hey, you're going to pay less education tax. We're going to get it from somewhere else. I'm like, I don't like the sound of that. But anyways, and then municipal taxes. This goes towards roads, which I honestly feel like sending an email to our city council because they're just terrible. Just terrible. It's embarrassing. Roads, waste collection, improvements. Like if they do your sidewalks, like when they redo the sidewalks or the roads, that's all municipal taxing. Okay. There was one other thing I wanted to say. When they repaint the lines, like maintenance, when they have the crews like cleaning the roads or mowing the lawns, university students get hired to cut the grass everywhere, right? So all those things, municipal taxes pay that. So everybody that owns a property pays property taxes. Okay. Property taxes are calculated. So here's important. They're calculated based on 45% of the value of the entire property. That's in building and your lot combined. The value that remains after that is called the portion assessment. Okay. You can write that down. Portion assessment. And so the portion assessment is this is the formula, is the entire value multiplied by 0.45 because they only tax you on 45% of the entire value. This is probably worth boxing in. Most of the time, this doesn't change. It's always, go ahead. It's always 45%. So think of it this way. If this is your entire home, right, value of home, 45 would be about half, right? So this isn't quite half. This is like go down to half and then just make it slightly bigger here. So 45% taxed. Not the entire 100%. They only tax you on 45% of the value of your home. Don't ask me why. That's just how they do it. They have their rules, right? What makes up your property taxes? I'm just digging a little deeper here, right? What makes up your property taxes? There's education, municipal, local improvements. And it doesn't say here, but there will be credits at some point, but we'll talk about that later. Is there anything else I want to highlight on here? Oh yes, here. When it comes to improvements, the city charges a little extra on in that the people that live in that area. And this is what I need you to highlight. That it is based on your frontage. Okay? And basically, it ends up being the width of the front of your property. Okay? Example, you know, a lot of city lots are 40 feet. Right? They could say that the front of your property from end to end is 40 feet. Sorry. I was expecting a call during lunch, but anyways. So one thing to remember for local improvement is that you need to know this part right here. You take your frontage and you multiply it by the cost of improvement per foot of property frontage. And I know some of it is mumble jumble right now, but we'll keep you up to speed on that one. We're going to do the QR code later. We're going to check out what houses are worth around Sisler, and you can actually spy on your neighbors with this one. It's like, gee, I wonder what my neighbor's property is worth. It's all there, and it's public. It's the city of Winnipeg makes this public. You can even tell if your neighbor has a pool, even though you would probably know that by just peeking over the fence, right? But anyways, let's go and actually do some calculations here, because that's the most critical component here. And then I'll talk about the details later on. Go to page 68. We're going to talk about calculating property taxes. Highlight this part. Property taxes are calculated by applying the mill rates to the portioned assessment. What in the world is a mill rate? I'm quite certain you're going to hear that after today. You're going to actually pick up on it when you hear it. A mill rate is just a dollar per $1,000. Just remember that. That's what a mill rate is. It's a dollar amount per $1,000. So if it's 7 mil, like if your mill rate is 7 mils, then it's $7 for every 10,000. Okay. I'm going to write that down. Example, 7 mils, right, is going to be $7 per $1,000 of assessed property, and so forth. And then they have decimals and so forth. So here's in a nutshell what property taxes are. Okay. This is basically, I wish I could give you a formula that just works every time, but this is the best I can do. This is how you would calculate the property taxes. Watch this. You first and foremost need the portioned assessment. How do you get that? You take the value of the home, multiply it by 0.45. Once you have that, right, you take that, it comes back here, it comes back here. So you take that portioned assessment and you multiply it by, highlight the mill rates. There's a mill rate there, there's a mill rate there. And I will highlight the portioned assessment like this. So first you have to figure out, well, how much are they going to tax, like how much are they going to tax me on? Take the value of home times 0.45. Then you take whatever your answer is, you multiply it by the educational mill rate divided by 1,000. You get that dollar amount. This is going to be a dollar amount here. Dollar amount. Dollar amount. Okay. Then you take your portion assessment again, you multiply it by the municipal mill rate over 1,000. You get a dollar amount there. Then you take your frontage, which will be in feet. Okay, we are told that frontage is always going to be in feet. You take it, multiply it by the improvement rate, and then that's going to be your local improvement cost. And then at the end of the day, net property taxes, you take your education tax, can we do this? I'm going to go A. Your municipal taxes, that's B. We add that here, B, because I'm running out of highlighters. Okay. Your local improvements, if there have been any, not always will there be local improvements, but that's C. Minus any credits that you may have gotten. You're like, wait a minute, what do you mean credits? Like a credit? Like you give your money back? Yes, because all of these are based on what they think they're going to need. The city makes a budget. They're like, I think we're going to need this much money, so let's charge you. So if at the end of that year they didn't use it all up, they give you money back. Okay. So the credit, you got to watch out. I'm going to highlight the fact that you're subtracting just the minus. I'm going to highlight that part. So at the end of the day, you go education tax, municipal tax, local improvements, minus any credits that are there. And now you know how much you're going to have to pay that year for property taxes. Pretty simple, isn't it? No, it's not. I know it's not. But let's calculate this. Maybe one example. Couple notes here. This is just from me teaching this over and over again, okay? Sometimes you'll be given the actual tax amount. No mill rate necessary, okay? Example, the education tax is, let's say, 1,839.25 cents. This is it. You don't have to, don't calculate it. Like, don't calculate it. Don't calculate. Just use it. Use it as is. Like this number will come back later when you're starting to add everything up. This is it. So sometimes you're not going to have to do the mill rate thing. Okay? This is it. It has happened so many times and students didn't know what to do with it. So they would just multiply that by some kind of mill rate, because I told them it's always times a mill rate. If they give you that, it's it. That's it. Okay? Common errors. Forgetting to calculate the proportionate value. Forgetting to divide the mill rate by 1,000. That's probably the one worth highlighting. Multiplying the improvement rate by the portion value. That one isn't that common, so I'm just going to highlight the middle one there. Yeah, let's do a calculation, and then hopefully you'll have a better idea of what's happening here. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I'll highlight this part here. Make sure you do too. I want to get at least one done before we go. Portion assessed values given. What does that mean? No need to multiply by 0.45. That's what that means. Okay, so you won't need to do that step. What step, Mr. Erickson? This step right here. Hold on. I'm coming back. You know this step right here? No need to do that because they already gave you this. So it's like, don't worry about it. Okay. Come back here. No need to multiply by 0.45. That's what that means. So the Adebio family owns a home with a portion assessed value. I'm going to do orange. This is the same color as the previous page for portion assessment. The municipal mill rate is 11.415 mils. Let's highlight that one color. And the education one, we're going to use a different color for that one. And the education mill rate is that. Okay, so two different mill rates. Remember, that's going to help us to figure out the taxes we pay for each portion. The frontage of the property is 60 feet. the family is charged local improvement taxes for road oiling and lane lighting. I honestly most of the time don't know what that exactly means, but I'm going to show you where to find that. And then there's a credit. I'm going to use a different color for that one. I don't have another color. Houston, we've got a problem here. Maybe this one. There. And you have a credit of 750. That's always worth highlighting because what happens to the credit at the end? We subtract it. Subtract it. Okay. I'm taking my time here, as you can tell. So this is what's happening. If this is the value of your home, they've already given you the portion assessment. Right? They're saying, hey, the amount that we're taxing you on, that's already given to you. This is the PA, portion assessment. It's given to you. So don't multiply it by 0.45 again, because then we don't know what the value actually is of the house, but this is what we're getting taxed on. Determine the education taxes. So ed tax is going to be portioned assessment times mill rate divided by 1,000. That's how I'm going to find that. A portion assessment is 138,250. You're going to multiply that by, what's my education mill rate? It's in green. 15.462 over 1,000. Very important. I'm going to put that in brackets. It kind of goes together. And let's calculate that. Grab your calculators. 138,250 times, this goes back to insurance, right? This happens a lot. Times this, divided by 1,000. And there it is. You're going to be paying, and I'm not kidding you, it's a painful bill. I get that every year. I get this bill sent to me, and it's thousands of dollars. I just pay it monthly because I can't afford to. So this is the amount that would go towards the education branch. So the Manitoba government takes that and funds the education program in the entire province. Okay. This is actually how they do it, by the way. Calculate the municipal taxes. So by that I mean, okay, hold on, I made a mistake. We will say include any improvements. We'll make sure we will, for the municipal part, which funds like actual roads and infrastructure and whatnot, we will include improvements under this umbrella here. So municipal tax, guess what? The pattern is take your portion assessment, which is orange. I'm going to highlight everything after I'm done here. But you take your portion assessment, you go mill rate divided by 1,000. Okay, so municipal tax, we go 138,250 times, what is my mill rate for education? Oh, sorry, municipal. Go look it up. Municipal is right here. 11.415. Put that in brackets. And calculate that. 138,250 times 11.415 divided by 1,000. There it is. 1,578 and 12 cents. Okay. This is just the municipal tax. Let's do some highlighting here. So this you should all know, right? I got it from up there. This is the education, right? So I should highlight, yeah, this is the education because I calculated my education taxes. And this is the other one, which is pink. This is the municipal portion that I'm going to have to pay. If you like arrows, like if you don't have highlighters, just go arrow up there, right? Put it in there, so forth. And now our improvements. I'll do that here. This is different. When it comes to improvements, you do not use mill rates. Okay. What are the two improvements that are happening here? Road oiling. If the road is a little squeaky, you got to put some oil in it, right? I don't know what it is, honestly. Lane lighting. What are we going to do when it's improvements? What is it based on? It's based on the frontage of your property, how wide it is. What is the frontage of this property? 60 feet. So guess what? You're going to have to go 60 feet for both of them. And we're going to multiply it by some sort of rate. And this is where your pink charts come in handy again. I'd like you to all grab that one. And go look for a table that is outdated. I will tell you that. It changes every year. I just don't want to go and get a new chart every time. But look for local improvement. It's at the back somewhere. And there's all kinds of improvements that could be done. Water mains is probably done a lot, right? When they have to dig out and you're out of water for a couple of days, right? I don't know if you've ever had to go through that nightmare. I had to go through that. But yeah, these are all possible things that they do, like concrete street paving or concrete sidewalk, and these are the rates. So lane oiling, no, is it road oiling? It's road oiling, yeah. So it's $8 per foot. It says here, cost per frontage foot. So we go $8. So for road oiling, it's $8. I multiply it, and lane lighting, $1.80. Right? Those I got from my chart. So 60 times 8, $480 you will be charged for that. And then 60 times 180, that's 108. So these are my improvements that I would consider this all one bag, but that's okay to keep them separate. So your municipal taxes based on the mill rate, and then these are improvements that may or may not be on your bill. It depends on what was done in your area. Okay. So if they ever do new sidewalks, you're like, oh, that's so nice. Guess what? If you live in that area, you're paying for it, right? Which you don't mind if it's a nice sidewalk, right? It doesn't even have to be in front of it doesn't have to be your street. It's in your area. They have those cutoffs in some sort of map, right? Next, this is the important part. Calculate the net property taxes. Like what are you going to pay overall? What's your big bill going to be? Okay, so here we go. Net would be adding the 2137.62 plus 1578.12 plus 480 plus 108. Are there any credits? Yeah, plus or minus? Minus. You gotta go minus. So here we go. That's what you get. So you add, subtract, and you get a big number. 3,553 and 74 cents. What would cause this number to go up? The city, every couple of years, they reassess all the properties. So if your property goes up in value, guess what? You're going to get a letter saying, hey, remember when your house was worth 400? This year it's 425. So that's how they make more money. They got to, because they got to make more because everything goes up, right? The cost of living goes up. So that's what happens there. Before you go, I would really want you to work on 70. Page 70. What's different about 70? Let's look at it before you start so you're not doing a whole bunch of work and it's wrong. What does it say? There's a heading giving it away. Portion assessed value needs to be calculated. So I'm going to do that with you, and then the rest is the same basically. So PA is value times 0.45. So you're going to figure the portion assessment because that's what you need to figure out taxes. What's the value of this home? It's weird, I know, but I need to prepare you for the unexpected, right? The land itself is 121 and the actual home is worth 245. Guess what? It doesn't matter. They will take 45 of the entire value. So we're going to go like this. 245 plus 121. Multiply all of that by 0.45 when you're done. That's 366 times 0.45, and that gives you 164,700. Okay, this is the number you want to use for everything else that comes down the road. Mill rate gets multiplied by this number. So basically what you found, folks, is you found this part right here. This is the PA, portion assessment. That's what you're taxed on, okay? I'm going to post the key. I'm going to ask you to try. This goes 71 to 73. So page 70 to 73, I'm going to say, so the more you do, the better prepared you will be. Okay? So I will post those keys, but make sure you try this one before you go today. Okay? If you have it in you, that'd be great.